jungle where dreams crumble. Life ain't always gentle, but tonight we're gonna rumble. Can you feel that it's real? Yeah. Vibing, vibing, yeah, that's all I do. Vibing, vibing with me and my crew. We just vibing, vibing, is that okay with you? Vibing, vibing.
Shout out to Love Blake in the building. Shout out, fam. Good to see you. Good to see you.
Can you
Mic check.
feel
Mic check.
that it's real?
Mic check. All right. Let's go ahead and get started.
Yeah, that's all I
I can
do.
see my bubble moving.
Vibing, vibing.
All right.
We just
My bad. My bad. All right. It is unapologetically QI, and I am unapologetically entering the building. Excuse me. I've been in the yard, so I'm a little congested, y'all. So y'all forgive me. All right. So basically, this topic is very important because apparently it's like a lot of black men seem to think that when empowering black women means tearing down the black man. But that is absolutely not true. Empowering black women is not tearing down black men. Okay. So basically, black women empowerment is not anti black man. So let's basically be clear. Empowerment is not like a competition. Empowerment is basically providing access to women, which means it provides sisterhood. It's providing resources. It's showing us how to respect one another, regardless of our differences. And it's helping to assure safety. And let me repeat that again. Women empowerment is about, like sisterhood, like access, groups, like circles, like a support system. And it also helps black women to respect other black women or other, like women empowerment in general, women in general, right? Regardless of your skin tone, like the colorism issue is big within the women empowerment community. How some lighter complected women might think, down on darker complected women. Well, it provides access to be able to work out and resolve those differences where we could love each other, uplift each other, and support each other, regardless of our different religious backgrounds, regardless of our different ideologies. For example, there are some women that are traditionalists. Of course, y'all know I'm not a traditionalist. I would be considered what you call a feminist, which is not at all, once again, a bad thing at all. Because as the late great Maya Angelou stated, you know, black, women should be feminists. Who else is going to fight for our rights? And that's what women have to, see that like men have their own issues. And therefore, like they can't fight for women issues. They don't know like our struggles. They don't know the things that we go through. And I'm going to give some examples of that in a minute. As well as a lot of times women are the advocates for the children, the greatest advocates for the children. So basically, men can't represent women because they don't know our struggles, right? But men likes to be the voices of women a lot of times. And that's why, a lot of times we don't really get access to our rights as we should, just like voting rights, just like your rights to, provide balanced health care is very important within the black women dynamics. Having the same health care, wages, like making sure that we get proper wages or we get equal wages. So basically, this is not a competition, it is about balance. And in these days, that balance is needed. That balance is definitely needed because in these days and times, it takes, if you're not like filthy rich, if you're not making over 150K a year or better, then it takes about 2 or 3 incomes into a home to be comfortable. So these days, definitely a woman's wages, a woman's income, and what a woman brings in the house is very important. It's not like the elder days where basically the man did their job by going out and providing and protecting, while the women were the heads of the household. It's quite different. And so basically, it's women empowerment because, like, in a lot of ways, religion and different things a lot of religions, they basically diminish uh, the value of women. A lot of people have taught that women should have no value, women should be silent, a lot of things of that nature. When in, actuality, let's just be real. In reality, it can't be. Who else is going to advocate for the children? Who else is going to advocate for the women? I mean, for women. And women are more balanced because women are nurturers. And then women raise little boys to men. So, although they may not understand everything about manhood, they do understand things about, you know, males, little boys, and they also understand a great deal when it comes down to men in general. So women have had to look at things in a balanced way. But in a lot of ways, especially within the Black community, they look at things in an imbalanced way. A lot of women will put themselves underneath, or put themselves to the side, or put women to the side, and they're Black male first, which throws off the balance. Women are always putting themselves first and putting themselves at the front of the line. But women have got to learn, it's like, what? You can't love anybody else until you first love yourself. You can't take care of anybody else until you first take care of yourself. If you're not healthy, how are you going to help assure that others are safe, are healthy, like your husband, like your children, like so on? So women, mothers matter, aunts matter, sisters matter, nieces matter. And when I say matter, the health, the safety, all of that stuff matters. And so I don't see why, like a lot of men, they look at women like objects, like, okay, well, me first, me. We're not worried about, because in a lot of conversations, just like for instance on Trish panel, the Pretty Intelligent Women panel, and which I enjoy. Y'all check that out. She had it on a Saturday last time. Well, she originally scheduled it for a Saturday, but it ended up being on a Sunday. But y'all check that out because I have enjoyed it. We actually have some very good conversations about topics that we really need to talk about, from a woman perspective. And I notice how, like, y'all will support the dysfunction, Like, for instance, let me tell y'all what made me a little upset, and then I'll get back on topic. Okay, so VS was live before Lemon. Okay, she had about 800 maybe in her chat. Okay, then Lemon went live. He had about 600 in his chat. But when VS got ready to go off, right? Well, he didn't have 600 at first, but when VS got ready to go off, Trish was live. Trish was live. And instead of, you know, the redirect going from a woman to a woman's panel, it went to Lemon, who's already getting numbers. So, you know, we basically talk about how women are not supporting women and how that's hurting us in a major way. In a major way. I mean, they have their spots where, you know, they can have their men discussions, the manosphere, red pill community, MGTOW. They have so many different like little black sector, Tommy Sotomayor, Fresh and Fit, Kevin Samuels. Even though he's not here, the late Kevin Samuels. Okay, so they have their spaces where they can have their conversations. And, you know, and I don't think it's balanced when women of the manosphere have women panels because it's an unbalanced conversation. The best women panels are going to be those like Trish, where you have, it's diverse, where you got diversity, so you can hear the voices of all variations of women. Not just this set of women, not just that set of women, but, you know, all women. Like, I'm, you know, within the community, I have a voice. Then we have, you know, traditionalists. Then we have, you know, the religious. You know, all voices are necessary in order to create balance, in order for everybody to be represented. So diversity is good and diversity matters. Like the B sector used to be a very diverse place. And we used to have like a lot of these types of conversations, you know, in beefing and amongst each other, which made for, you know, the beef not being an all negative thing. It was like, you know, a lot of those beefs were teaching moments. Because, you know, it was expressive. You know, because back then it was basically like gay men. And like I tell people, gay men can be more misogynist than straight men. And it's evident. And back then it was back at when the beef sector first started, it was balanced. You had a balanced amount of male content creators and you had a balanced amount of women content creators, and everybody pretty much was getting support. Now it's no longer like that. It's like the majority of, you know, it's a lot of male content creators. Some are not even in the B sector. The majority are not in the B sector. And maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 female content creators that get support. That's you know, that's a great reason for women empowerment, because that shows that we don't support ourselves, and that also shows how we feel and think about ourselves, how we view ourselves. Like a lot of women don't view themselves as, you know, deserving anything. And then if they do, then they feel like they have to compete, or it's not enough space or room for every other woman, which is an insecurity thing. There's enough room and space for all women. And then like every woman is not the same. So everybody has their lane. If everybody will focus on their own uniqueness, their own individualness, then everybody has their own lane. That's sort of how it was back in the original beef sector days. Most people had their own lanes. Everybody wasn't doing things exactly the same. Wash, rinse, repeat. Exactly like you hear them say format. What the heck? A format. Talent has nothing to do with a format. If I can sit and dictate your patterns, that means like you're repetitive. That has nothing to do with talent. You're not talent is spontaneous. Talent is creative. Talent is being able to just move with the flow, go with the flow. But at any rate, let me get back to, basically what I was, speaking of women empowerment. And it's important, even within the B sector, that everybody has a voice. The lesbian community, the studs, the gay men, the straight women, and, even the margin of straight men in the community. And we don't need straight men in the community that's anti LGBTQIA or anti black woman. That's not an even mix. And before it was like that. Everybody was, we didn't have too many, homophobic people in the sector, whether they were straight or not. If they were, they knew not to vocalize that. If they did, they already knew they were going to get chewed up. Because basically, if you don't like the LGBTQIA community, if you don't like black women, or you don't have a strong disdain for women, then that means you should go somewhere else. Because the sector was created, by black women and the LGBTQIA community. But like back to what I was saying about the women empowerment, it's about addressing real issues, sharing remedies, and sharing recipes, sharing, you know, um, um, life experiences, helping the next woman to each one teach one, each one reach one, in a short sense of the word. Like I said, it's about, expressing the disparages that we have within the political system, or we have within the government, or we have within the society, like wage gaps, healthcare disparages, like safety, like making sure that our voice is heard. We have proper representation, just like in politics. Because I truly believe that a lot of the biggest reasons that Kamala Harris did not get elected was because the fact that she was a woman. Point blank simple. Point blank simple. A lot, and that's why we had so many black males on, the Republican side. Because a lot of times in these debates that I hear online, and which I love to hear, a lot of them don't know one thing about a policy, especially the older ones, them old, I'm an army vet, like from the old black church type community, the deacon, they get up there and they're like, and the only thing they can talk about is like, the issues with the policy with the trans. And I really wish they had put that one to the side, because that wasn't so important. When they saw that that was going to create an issue, they should have really put that to the side. It doesn't mean that they didn't have to, like address it, or do anything about it, or bring it forth, or try to get any laws and stuff enacted with it. But it shouldn't have been the highlight of their campaign. The highlight of their campaign should have been running against Project 2025. But at any rate, I hope this next election, and I'm doing my best, my best to try to, a lot of people are out here, people are out here trying to, make sure that we get better representation, because we got to have somebody to clean up this mess that has been made. But at any rate, I think that the biggest reason why she didn't win was simply because she was a woman. And not just like, and it wasn't just black men that couldn't vote for her, or, men that couldn't vote for her. It was also women, black women, who couldn't vote for her. And that just shows you how A lot of women or black women think less of themselves. Because if you don't think a woman can do it, that means you don't feel too good about yourself. You don't feel that. And that's what it is. A lot of black women are projecting their own feelings towards themselves, their own insecurities, their own things. And that's another reason why, women empowerment is important. And women empowerment does not try to change. Like if you're a traditionalist, you believe, that a man, you're a subordinate up under a man, then so be it. Because it's about whatever makes you happy as a woman. Whatever makes you happy as a woman, just like I'm a part of the community. That makes me happy. So it's not taking away a woman's right to determine her happiness and what makes her happy. It's like coming together, being diverse. Everybody understands that everybody is not the same and that we're never all going to be the same, think the same, or want to live. That's why, God made us different. God didn't make us all to be robots. So, it's coming together and learning to respect each other's differences, learning like the struggles that each of us have, like the struggles of dark skinned women, the struggles of lesbian women, like the struggles of disabled women, like the struggles of like um, tall women, or the struggles of any type of variation of a woman that you can find, right? Learning, like, because a lot of times if you haven't experienced it, you don't see it. And it takes hearing other people's stories to get an understanding of like what they may have gone through. Because we weren't all raised the same. And we all like come from different like childhood issues. I'm not going to necessarily say traumas. I'm going to say we all come from, different childhood issues. All of our households were not the same. We went through different things in all of our households. So it's like, and then helping women to realize that they should not be mistreated. No one should put their hands on them. No one should treat them badly unless that's the way that they want to be treated. If that's how they want to be treated, hey, what can we say? But at the same token, it's about showing women that they too have value. And that's important because a broken woman is only going to raise a broken child and raise broken generations. So it's very important that women are empowered and women are not broken, because we're talking about the pillar, the forefront, whether you want to say biologically, genetically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Women are paving the way for the next generation. So it's very important that they're strengthened and they're strong. It's very important that, just like for instance, Kamala, I always, man, forgive me, Kamala. Okay. It's very important. Like if she had won the election, imagine how many little girls would have said, I can do that too. Or how many little girls would have been like, I can, they would have dreamed. They would have thought big. They wouldn't have and then imagine like on the flip side, when you're making little girls feel like they're limited. Like they were like, who wants to do that? Like we're not giving hope to these little girls. We always hearing, the black man this, the black man that, don't put a jacket on a black man. But see, like now they're having this jacket conversation, right? But do black men realize that calling a woman a bad mother, if you don't have precise evidence, is a jacket? Do black men realize that calling a woman a B or a H is putting a jacket on a woman? Do black men realize that calling a woman ugly or disparaging a woman based on physical looks, or, based on, like things that really don't matter, is putting a jacket on it? So they can't complain about a jacket when they're putting plenty of jackets on black women. And so it's time to, that's what I mean, to let them know, because they use this manipulation because they're interested in being coddled. A lot of them want to take the easy way out. They don't want to be like our great grandfathers and grandfathers and stuff and be real men and stand in the paint. They want to take the easy way out. They basically just want to be able to do what they want to do. That's what happens when you coddle like these men, instead of making them stand up and be fathers and be uncles and be brothers and be cousins, be family, be community. And likewise, we got to do the same thing. And we got to stop letting them think, stop allowing them to poison other sisters to think that, they can't stand up. They can't be empowered, or we can't be empowered, or we can't empower each other. Because the biggest numbers, the greatest numbers count in politics and a lot of things. And the greatest numbers are the women, no matter what race. God designed it that way. And so your political power and your power, your generational power, a lot of power is within the woman. So now social media plays a big part of like black femicide and a lot of the things, because, we have an epidemic of, black women being unalived greatly by the hands of black men, but not black men exclusively. But black women are not protected. Like Malcolm X stated, black women are amongst the most disrespected in America. Because if our own black brothers and our own black fathers are not stepping up and defending, because they're supposed to provide and to protect. If they're not stepping up to the plate being men, and that's an ancient system to provide and to protect. Not be on the internet, but even still, like there's a lot of extreme ideologies that take place on social media, and that's amplified on social media and the internet. And a lot of black men are also good about turning pain or trauma into content. We see that every day. We see the binaries that he does that, and he's quite great at that. He's quite great at making sure that, and then he's quite great at excusing the poor behavior of black men, putting excuses on them. Binary does, and they do that. They love to run excuses, like oh well, this, but then let it be a black woman. And I don't care if it was something that wasn't her fault. It could have been her pain, her trauma, something she went through, like dragons. They're going to turn that into content, and they are going to destroy or pull or suck the life out of that woman. That is not good. That is them trying to compete with women, and women don't do the same thing. So they can't blame us when they say race war, gender war. Nah, that's never been the black woman. That's never, the black woman has always. And that brings us to another question. Like, why should black women keep going hard for men who are not going hard for us? Go hard. We're going hard for men that are not going to go hard for us. We're going hard for men that are not going to choose you or us. But, I don't care about that part. But, you're going hard for people who don't, men who don't respect you. And so it's time to do something different. They say you're, what is a moron, or the definition of stupidity when you keep on doing the same thing, expecting a different result. And a lot of times, we need YouTube to do something about it. But a lot of these, they know it, and that's why they come into the beef sector. That's why they spread about because you know they're putting themselves in all types of algorithms, right? That push views. So it's tricking YouTube into thinking that you know this type of negative, degrading content towards women is pushing views. But YouTube is waking up because they've experienced a lot of lawsuits. And, now they can be held accountable for things that happen on here because it ultimately it's, their fault unless you're going to, it's ultimately the power lies within them to make sure that people are safe on this internet, on this app. And what you're seeing online isn't always the full reality. It's often the loudest, but it's not the real. And it's not the majority. But here's the thing, it can spread. And like when black men are saying, oh, they're talking about, like systematic oppression and different things. Well, always keep in mind that they're not the only ones. Women went through that as well. Women also went through violations. Women went through seeing their kids, like disparaged. So it's like the pain or the past ain't exclusive to black men. It's equal. So they can't sit and keep making black women feel sorry because black women went through it too. Like black women go through economic inequality. Although black women now there's more mass incarceration. Well, let's just say we'll leave the mass incarcerations on black men, but let's look at that in a real way, right? There are some innocent black men, but there are a lot of guilty black men. Like, let's keep it a buck. We can't just let them keep running, just like the jacket, right? The latest jacket, right? If you're out here and you're disrespecting black women, if you're out here and you have no regard for children, then let's just call it a buck. That's predatory behavior. And a lot of these men do be guilty of that. And we all know that, our history as a black community is we overlook those things, therefore causing trauma and affecting the next generations over and over and over again by overlooking those things, by excusing. Oh no, Uncle Johnny didn't do that. Uncle Charles didn't do that. Uncle Fred didn't do that. When Uncle Fred, Uncle Charles, and Uncle Johnny did it. Now, Uncle Edward probably didn't do it, but we'll find out. But just like in the court of the law, you innocent into proven guilty. Stand up, on your case. And then a lot of things are based on behavior. Bear with me a minute. Like I said, I've been doing yard work at pollen, and we found out what pollen is. Pollen is fertilization. But at any rate, so it's good for the ecosystems. But at any rate, we got to do better about protecting the children, girls and boys. We got to do better amongst each other. And a lot of that starts with home and self first. And so just like we need more positive men to be better in, better mentors to black men, not negative mentors, because they good about being join a gang and all that kind of stuff, right? But because just because you have a father in the home doesn't mean nothing if that father is not a positive, that is not giving positive guidance. So we need to understand, oh, no father in the home. But if you got you know, uh, a father that does DV, or a father that, is harming children, that's not good for that family as well. That is creating trauma. And y'all, like, I'm required to say that, there are 800 numbers. There's a DV hotline as well as a mental health hotline. If you're experiencing any of this, if this triggered you in any way, please, by all means, reach out to those hotlines. So essentially, we got to say, why would empowerment to any group, any people, whether children empowerment, ant empowerment, animal empowerment, why is that bad? And why does that mean that, like, if dogs are empowered, if you empower your little puppy or empower your dogs, give animals rights, that's not harming anybody else. That's not meant to harm anybody else. That's meant just to do just that. And basically, right now, by them not liking women empowerment, or interfering with women empowerment, or derailing people from women empowerment, or derailing people from feminism, it's causing division. That's where the division is coming from. And black men voices matter as well. But black men voices should not overpower women voices, children voices. Now, real empowerment is about supporting each other's growth, holding each other accountable, like, without disrespecting each other. Because a lot, oh, I'm gonna hold you accountable. They chastise, like, you see Jay Wilson. He does a lot of chastising, and he thinks I was shocked, but he thinks that is holding somebody accountable, when it's not. You're actually tearing a person down. He tears people down. Holding someone accountable does not have to be disrespectful. Let me repeat that for the people in the back. Holding somebody accountable does not have to be disrespectful. Holding somebody accountable does not mean you have to tear them down. And to the black men, y'all are so sensitive. Like, when somebody says, well, we need to do something about a major issue, instead of, you know, crying or trying to blame it on the black woman, or trying to blame everything on the black woman, just say, yes, we do. Yes, this is a problem. Yes, that's a leader. That's what a leader does. And leaders are women, men, children, whomsoever. But what a leader does is, a leader accepts accountability for a problem. And a leader creates resolutions and solutions to a problem. Not blame the problem on the next group. Not make up excuses, but actually comes up for a solution and resolves the problem. That's what a true leader does. Because at the end of the day, this is about building families, strong generations. This is about building, like, empowerment is about building businesses, corporations, entrepreneurship, economic strength, as well as building stronger communities. Not projects, not hoods, not ghettos, but stronger, lavish communities, like our grandparents from back in the 50s and the 50s and stuff. You know, people had their yards cut, people dressed up, people, they went out and they were presentable. They weren't fulfilling some type of stereotype. And it's not about choosing a side. We can choose unity, but you got to keep in mind that, both, we're, black women have their own issues that need to resolve and be resolved. Just like they say, have a BET moment in the beefing sector, B sector. All right. Well, let's. This might be a women moment, a woman only moment. And black men need to learn that and stop trying to, in, push themselves into women's spaces to manipulate women, to make things side with them. Because, they have a big agenda out here, the manosphere and a lot of these communities that are spreading, but they're not looked at very well. And, a lot of this stuff is leading straight to the FBI jails and prisons. Okay. So empowerment is not like a subtraction, it's an expansion. Growth for one does mean growth for all. It means overall growth. It means strengths. It means expansion. We got to stop looking at it like it's not enough. The universe didn't provide enough. We got to start saying that the universe provided for us all, because at the end of the day, that's what happened. At the end of the day, that's what it is. The universe provided for us all. So we all have our mission, our purpose in life. We all have our own paths of life. We all have our niches. We all have our lanes, because we're not robots. And everybody, it's like we're our own ecosystem. And if all of our just like in nature, if our ecosystem, like I was talking about pollen, right? If the ecosystem is off in any fashion, it throws off everything. And that's how we got to start looking at this. If the ecosystem is off in any kind of way, it throws off everything. So, basically, I just want to break that down. Shout out to Shish Trish chat. I mean, Shish Trish panel. Um, 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 the women, the pretty intelligent women panel. I had a, brain fart, but the pretty intelligent women panel. Yeah, check for that. Keep up with that. It's Culture Media and doing it for the culture. Those are her channel handles. But it's the Pretty Intelligent Women panel, and it's great. Like, this is the second one, and I have enjoyed both. Both panels. We've talked about issues that, like, we haven't spoke about in a long time, or doesn't get spoken about in this circle, like, it used to. And so y'all make sure y'all check out Shish Trish. Y'all support some real content. Y'all support some good, and not just all dysfunction, because you are what you eat, and you are what you watch and feed yourself on a daily. Like, there's nothing wrong with a little taste of the drama here, a little taste of drama there, but you are what you eat. You are what you watch. You are what you consume. So keep that in mind. And so I think, I said this was going to be a quick live. I don't know how quick normally I can stay around 20 some minutes and under 30. But so I'm just going to call that to an end right now until next time. And like I said, until next time, peace, love, hair grease, and all that kind of stuff. Make sure y'all drop y'all any comments, any thoughts. Feel free to drop it in the comment section. If you have not subscribed, make sure by all means you subscribe, like, share, all of that good stuff. And until next time, peace, love, and hair grease. It is now unapologetically QI, unapologetically exiting the building. Peace. Shout out to Nurse K up in the building. My bad, y'all. Love Blake. Shout out to the people that was in the building. Shout out to everybody who supports, and I'm out for real. Peace.